few months ago, I made a video called the Game-Changing Interior Tacoma mod, and what I was referring to was this. These are custom seat jackers for the Tacoma, and after about just 10 minutes of installing these, you can get a much more comfortable seating position and a much more comfortable ride. Now, when I first heard about these, I was intrigued for two reasons. One, there are so many reviews on Tacoma World saying that this is the best mod ever. I mean, there's literally a 45-page thread about these. And two, the company that invented and makes these, Desert Does It, is comprised of Tacoma owners and enthusiasts like you and I, so they probably know the ins and outs of what other Tacoma owners want and need. So now, after 3 months of running these seat jackers in my own Tacoma, I want to let you guys know if this little mod is one worth doing. I made that first video to share my initial experience with you guys, but now I have a lot to say after running these over the last few months, and there were also a ton of questions on that first video from you guys about if these even work with the newer Tacomas with power seats, if someone who was 6'5" could still fit in the truck with these, if these are even safe during the event of a crash, and why I didn't just use washers and a longer bolt to lift the seat. And honestly, I have so many new things to talk about, so I'm going to give you guys my honest review on these, talk about the positives and even the negatives all in today's video. So quick recap on how these are installed. It's super simple, only takes about 5 to 10 minutes to do. These will work on manual seats like the ones I have here, or power seats. In some of the newer Tacomas, it'll work on either the driver or passenger side. I'm just showing you on my passenger side for this video. And all you'll really need is a 15 and 14 millimeter socket. So one of the biggest advantages of having these seat jackers in your Tacoma is that they lift your seat, but this actually doesn't mean that they change the height at which you sit at, and I know that sounds contradictory, so let me explain. Basically, these front seat jackers just lift the front of your seat, which means that the only part of your body that's actually getting lifted are your legs and not your butt. And because your butt isn't getting lifted any more than it already is, the distance between the top of your head and the roof doesn't change. So unless you get rear seat jackers, which actually does lift your butt a little bit more, this mod is pretty height independent. One of my friends who helps me film a lot of my off-road videos is actually 6'4", which is a big contrast to me being 5'5", and we both fit in my driver's seat, which not only has the front seat jackers, but it also has the rear seat jackers. So I think the front seat jacker mod is height independent, and pretty much if you fit in your Tacoma seat before you get the front seat jackers, you should fit in your Tacoma after the seat jackers. Now, getting back to the seat jackers lifting your whole leg thing, that has actually taken a lot of strain off of my legs when I'm driving. Now, let me start off by saying I never had a big issue with the stock seats in the Tacoma to start out with, so I wasn't someone who went out and tried to look for a mod to solve this problem particularly, but from the second I put these seat jackers in, they have made my seat completely different. Really, the seat feels like a brand new chair essentially. It's so much more comfortable. I have done multiple road trips where I really don't need brakes at all, and I will say that wasn't true when I drove across the country with my dad in 3 days because I didn't have the seat jackers back then, and I did have to shift around quite a bit, but it wasn't too bad. But ever since I had the seat jackers, I've had zero issues whatsoever. I would just say for me personally, the seat jackers weren't necessarily always about eliminating pain, but they were more just to make the seats more comfortable, and they definitely achieved that. Another thing I wanted to mention, but I'm not sure if it's completely related, is I used to have an injury on my rotator's cuff from years of boxing, and ever since I've had the seat jackers in, I haven't had any flare-ups of that injury, which I used to have. I felt zero pain, and again, I don't know if it's related to the seat jackers, but it could have been. Now, I know I've been talking a lot about how these seat jackers have made my seat a lot more comfortable, and it's hard to translate that feeling through this video to you guys, so the best I can do is show it to you guys. So here are clips of me getting in the truck without and with the seat jackers. Now, I realize it's hard to get a visual, so here are some still frames without the seat jackers and with the seat jackers. I also wanted to include some disadvantages of installing these seat jackers. So one of the disadvantages is that if you're increasing where your leg height is at, you're creating less space between your knees and the steering wheel. So for me, this meant I had to raise my steering wheel a little bit, but in my case after that, it wasn't a big deal because there was still a lot of space. The other is getting into your truck. Now, this may sound obvious, but these are going to raise the front of your seat a few inches, making a noticeable difference when you get in your truck. I can still get in my Tacoma by just stepping in with one of my legs, but the height change did throw me off for the first week and took some getting used to. Now, there were a couple comments on the first video about these seat jackers possibly not being safe for your seats in your Tacoma in the event of a possible crash, and I think if you're really worried about that, this shouldn't be a mod that you're doing. You shouldn't do any mod that you're uncomfortable with. But this mod shouldn't affect your Tacoma's warranty, and to be honest, these seat jackers won't add any flex to your seat, so if you unfortunately get into a crash or a really bad accident to the point where they did, I think you'd have bigger problems to worry about. These are a really solid mount with pretty much the highest grade aluminum you can get, with a really unique design that I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but I'm personally just not worried about my safety when these are installed. Again, this is only my own opinion and one person's opinion, so if you're not comfortable with having this type of mod installed in your truck, you shouldn't install it. I also wanted to talk about the craftsmanship and quality of these seat jackers because I think that's a part of what makes this mod really stand out. Desert Does It does not skimp out on quality, as these are made out of 70-75 aluminum, which is basically one of the highest grades you can get. As you can see, these are all CNC machined out, and they're made here in America and powder coated. Not only that, but the bolts that these come with from the Desert Does It kit are graded 10.9 bolts, so you really are in this kit getting some of the best quality stuff on the market. Now, I'm not a manufacturer in any way, but I feel like all of these little details are actually kind of uncommon to see in a product, because I'm sure it's much more expensive to get your stuff made here with this kind of quality rather than just outsourcing the work and materials from overseas. So that is a big reason I love these, but also the design of these, at least for the 3rd gen Tacomas, is actually really intricate, even though it may look kind of simple. The bolt for your seats actually has to go in at an angle, so the design reflects that perfectly. That's really the big reason you don't want to use washers to lift the seat, mainly because the bolt goes in at an angle and washers aren't angled, so you really need a specific piece that can achieve that lift, and these seat jackers are it. So on my channel, across several different videos, I have talked a lot about these seat jackers, and that's honestly just because I think it's one of the best and it's one of my favorite mods I've ever done on my Tacoma. And I'm in no way sponsored by Desert Does It, but for all the reasons I've explained in this video and some of my past videos, I absolutely love these seat jackers. From Desert Does It's website, I started out with just the seat jackers, but from there, I extended my collection of Desert Does It products. I have the underseat air compressor mount, I have the quick drop mount for fire extinguisher, and I have the multi-mount panel. And if you want to get any other information about the underseat air compressor, the quick drop mount, or the multi-mount panel, I have videos which I'll link in the description down below. But overall, and again, the seat jackers are one of the best mods I've had in my Tacoma, and the longer I have them, the more I love them. I want to know in the comment section down below if any of you have seat jackers and what you think about them. Were they life-changing like they kind of were for me? And did they feel a lot more comfortable for you? I personally love them, and I'd love to know what you think about them. Thank you so much for checking out today's video. I post weekly on this channel, but if you want more content from me, you can follow me on my Instagram. It is at ChloeKuoTaco. But other than that, I hope I'll see you in next week's video. Bye, guys.